of Max Verstappen and Toto Wolff enjoying a holiday. This is obviously going to create a lot of speculation.
It's incredible that it's happened 2 years in a row, isn't it? I think that there are links between them, that go beyond the relationship that we see fundamentally as a Mercedes boss and a Red Bull driver. Quite a peculiar situation, but a fun one nonetheless.
Toto Wolff said, speaking to Sky Sports Germany, you have to give Kimi time to develop. Max is driving at his peak. We're not afraid of having the two of them in the same team at some point.
If there's an opportunity to sign a Verstappen, why wouldn't you take it in the same way that McLaren would be interested? Any racing team in the world would be interested in taking Max Verstappen, whether it's IndyCar, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's bumper cars, whatever.
Where's this bumper car championship?
Formula Grid penalties incoming. Mercedes silence broken. The truth about their perfect season starts to crack. 4 months, they looked untouchable. The fastest car in the paddock, the team every rival feared, the silver machine tearing through 2026 like nothing could slow it down. 72 points clear at the halfway mark. A cushion so big it felt like a coronation. But behind the trophies and the smiles, something was rotting. And now, finally, Mercedes has admitted it out loud. It's almost inevitable. Those are the words. Not possible. Not a small risk. Inevitable. Deputy Team Principal Bradley Lord looked at the data, looked at the engines, looked at the parts counter in the garage, and he couldn't lie anymore. Grid penalties are coming. Not for one driver. For both. Kimi Antonelli. George Russell. 2 men who have spent an entire season fighting for a championship, about to get punished for something that was never their fault. Let that sink in for a second. These drivers didn't make a mistake. They didn't crash. They didn't blow an engine through recklessness. They did everything right, and now they're staring down a countdown they can't control. Somewhere in a factory in Brixworth, England, engineers are running numbers, checking components, trying to find a way out of a trap that's already closing. Because here's the brutal math nobody wanted to say in public. Every engine, every gearbox, every hybrid unit in Formula One has a limit. A strict number of uses before the rulebook forces a driver to start further back on the grid. Go over that limit, and it doesn't matter how fast your car is. You start in the back. You fight through traffic. You bleed points you already earned. And Mercedes has been burning through those parts faster than anyone expected. Lord didn't sugarcoat it. He came right out and said the team has looked at how many components they've used in just the first half of the season, and the picture wasn't pretty. It's realistically going to be hard, he admitted, to make it to the end of the year on the hardware they've already got. Read between the lines. And that's not a warning. That's a confession. Somewhere along the way, reliability turned into the silent enemy eating away at what should have been a dominant championship run. Toto Wolff, the man who built this empire, the man who has stood on top of the world with this team before, he wanted to believe there was still a way to escape it. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, he said he very much hoped his drivers could avoid engine penalties altogether. Hope. That's what it had become. Hope instead of certainty. But hope doesn't fix broken parts. Hope doesn't stop wear and tear. And now, even Wolff's own deputy is saying the math doesn't lie. The penalties are coming. The only question left is when, and how bad they'll be. Think about what's actually at stake here. Lord estimated that reliability issues alone may have already cost Mercedes somewhere around 100 points this season. 100 points. Vanished. Not lost to bad driving. Not lost to slower cars. Lost to mechanical failures, to parts wearing down before their time, to a season where the team's own machinery became its biggest threat. Now imagine stacking a grid penalty on top of that. Imagine Antonelli, a rookie fighting to prove he belongs at the very top of this sport, suddenly forced to start 10 places back through no fault of his own. Imagine Russell, a driver who has poured everything into leading this team, watching his championship hopes get squeezed by a ticking clock buried deep inside his own car. This is the nightmare scenario. Not a rival team suddenly finding speed. Not a driver mistake under pressure. A quiet, mechanical countdown, ticking away in the background of every single race weekend, waiting to detonate at the worst possible moment. And here's what makes it even more dangerous. Formula One penalties don't happen in isolation. If Mercedes has to change a power unit component, they don't just lose position on one Sunday, they hand a gift to every team chasing them. Every rival on the grid, every driver clawing for a podium. suddenly gets a golden opportunity dropped right into their lap. One penalty could reshape the entire second half of the championship. So now the pressure shifts to the strategists. Somewhere behind closed doors, Mercedes engineers are trying to solve a puzzle with no clean answer. Do they take the penalty early, rip the Band-Aid off, and hope to recover points across the rest of the season? Or do they gamble, push the aging components as far as they possibly can, race after race, and pray they hold together until the finish line? Either path is a risk. Either path could unravel months of hard-fought points. And either path puts two young careers directly in the firing line. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about constructors' points on a spreadsheet. This is about Antonelli's breakout season potentially getting derailed before it ever gets the credit it deserves. This is about Russell, chasing a title, suddenly forced to fight uphill through no fault of his own. Every grid penalty is a story of what could have been, a race erased before it even begins. And the tension doesn't stop there. Because somewhere out there, rival strategists are watching this exact same headline. They're recalculating. They're wondering if this is the crack in Mercedes' armor they've been waiting for all year. A 72-point lead can look massive, until the team holding it admits, in their own words, that their cars are running on borrowed time. So here's where we're left. A championship that looked all but decided at the halfway mark, suddenly thrown back into chaos by 4 words from a man who had no reason to lie. Almost inevitable. Not a possibility. Not a rumor. An admission. The countdown has already started. Somewhere in the next handful of races, Kimi Antonelli or George Russell, maybe both, will roll onto a grid they didn't earn, paying for a battle being fought behind the scenes in engine bays and simulation rooms far from the cameras. And when that moment comes, when the penalty finally lands, everyone will remember this exact warning. The moment Mercedes stopped hoping and started preparing for the inevitable. The only question left is this. When the penalty finally hits, will it cost them the championship they've fought all year to protect?